After having lost some grounds in the Brazilian stills, Armel has caught up some wind. At noon, he was ahead of Alex Thompson by 165 miles. Incredible. What suspense. What suspense. We'll figure things out after the Doldrums. It's pretty much the next delicate obstacle. The objective for me is to widen the gap in the next hours, the next days, get ahead as much as possible so to secure an advance, to approach the Doldrums more serenely, in my mind anyway. That's what's going to set the tone to the rest of the race. According to the gaps, the strategies will be radically different. In third position, Jérémy Bayou's untiringly gaining on the leaders. He's only 513 miles away of Alex Thompson. It's a nice progression. I'm mostly glad to have looked ahead, not to have said to myself, it's over, they're 1,000 miles ahead, and it won't change anything. You always got to look ahead. Things are a little harder for Jean-Pierre Dick, who's threatened more and more every day by the Eliès-Le-Cam tandem. Yann Eliès is now only 43 miles away from Jean-Pierre Dick. So now, we're going to go along in cooler conditions, so to speak, because we're still going to be sailing to windward in close speeds for the next days with a very rough sea. So we're not home free yet, but at least we can close the South Sea case, even if there's still a few albatross behind me. On the next video, I hope I'll be in my underwear or wearing a bathing suit and covered with sun cream. In 7th position, Louis Burton will be the next to cross the Cape Horn tomorrow morning, a very first for him. I got an email from the Chilean authorities asking me to be careful because this is the most dangerous place on the planet. So that makes it even more exciting, and at the same time it's scary to cross this area. Maybe I blew it out of proportion in my mind, but yes, I have to admit I'm a little scared. In the Pacific South, a very virile Pacific, several skippers had to do with heavy technical problems. Rigging damages for Conrad Coleman, who was able to secure his J1 stay in a raging sea with near 60 knots gusts. Alan Rura had to change his starboard rudder that had been cut by an unidentified floating object and seal off a water ingress. Both competitors are back in the race, but at the price of a considerable physical effort. And finally, Endau Koinin, who after dismasting is struggling to reach Dunedin Harbour in New Zealand. He's going to have to put up with another windstorm. Most definitely, the Great South doesn't spare anyone.
Hi everybody. Well, it's a little bit tricky at the moment. Light winds, upwind, and it's going to be tricky for most of today, and then hopefully the wind will go right a little bit and I will be off on starboard, and I could be on starboard most of the way back to the Sables, so I'm really looking forward to that. My wind gear, which is currently on the leeward side down there, not much use down there. It's been okay, but in the lighter winds it's not really much use, so when I've been short tacking I haven't even really bothered to tack it. I just stay awake and basically drive the boat with the pilot like I'm about to right now. I did have an interesting time a couple of days ago. I was sailing upwind on what tack was I? I was on starboard tack with the J1 full main, and I was fully powered up. I had full keel, full ballast, and I was sat just in the companionway down there eating some Rivita and Marmite, and there was this almighty bang, and I was sure, in my mind, I was sure the rig had come down. I jumped up, looked out, and sure enough the rig hadn't come down, but the J1 was not attached to the front of the boat anymore. If I look down here now, I've got the pieces here. So here we've got the furler. There's a carver furler. So the sail was attached here, and then this piece here, which is a friction sheave, was attached in there, like this. And if you look at that there, we can see that it's actually opened up. So one of two things either happened. Either the pin in here sheared and broke, or more likely the pin came out, although the retaining clip is still in place. So it's a little bit strange, but you can see how it's bent open. You can see the furler is still in one piece. So this is a carver furler. There's nothing wrong with the furler at all. It's a great piece of kit, works extremely well. But when it came loose, this is the bit was flying around everywhere. It was flying around, hitting the deck, hitting the hull, hitting the deck spreader, hitting the foil, and so my first job was to try and stop it from destroying the boat. So I put the boat downwind as best I could, but still it was flailing around everywhere, and I had to kind of lasso it, grab hold of it, and tie it down. But even then it was still doing some damage. As quick as I could without being hurt on any of these jagged edges, I had to disconnect it, and then I managed to get the sail back forwards again and back onto another furler, and then furled up. So yeah, it cost me a fair few miles, but that's the kind of thing that could have cost me the race. That thing flailing around, smashes into the deck spreader hard, deck spreader fails, mast falls down. So yeah, I was quite happy to get out of that unscathed, and as you can see, it's some serious, jagged, nasty edges. So I'm pretty lucky not to have been hit with that. But like I say, nothing wrong with this piece of kit. The carver pit failed, no problem. This bit here, well, either the pin came out or it sheared, but that's not a carver piece. Apart from that bit of excitement, all's good. Looking forward to going reaching in a few days.
And so a very good day. Welcome to our Vendee Globe Live on the 59th day of racing out on the race course. And welcome to the live, the base of the Eiffel Tower. Do come in and join us if you're in Paris at all. Welcome today to Cécile Rodet, who is the CEO of Adrena. Adrena are software providers for all the skippers out on the race course. It's the routing software of preference of the skippers. We'll speak with Cécile very shortly. And joining us live on Skype from the south of, or the middle of France, where he's on his ski holiday, is Andrew Pindar, businessman and a Vendee Globe fan, CEO of GAC Pindar, who are a logistics company who specialise in sailing logistics, the supplier to the Volvo race, and a long-time Vendee Globe fan and a sponsor of a sailing team, as well as sponsor to the Pindar team in the 2008-2009 Vendee Globe. So welcome, Andrew. Out on the race course, well, problems for Conrad Coleman. His primary forestay detached from the bow yesterday, and probably the worst conditions of the race so far. 1,300 miles west of Cape Horn. Now, Conrad has managed to make a temporary repair, but he is really regrouping and just trying to get some rest at the moment. He was over on his side for some hours once the head sail unrolled, unfurled, and forced out natural energy was rolled onto its side for a matter of hours. So some scary times for Conrad. I say he has made a temporary repair, and hopefully the winds will drop away a little bit for him as forecast, and he should be able to reassess the situation and get going. But very, very difficult times for Conrad Coleman. In the meantime, also Didac Costas had his problems. The Spanish skipper on One Planet, One Ocean tore his mainsail. He's had to drop it, and he's going to have to wait until the wind drops also for him to make a repair. Meantime, the leaders are up in the trade winds, Alex Thompson and Armel Kleash. They've got less than a TJV or a B2B, a transatlantic race to go, and only about 140 miles between the two leaders. Trade winds are fairly light, only 10 to 12 knots just now. They should build as they climb up the Atlantic. Then let's have a look at the animation, the 3D fly through the fleet at midday today. Well, two big systems, as we said, two big low pressure systems. For the group of five there's 200 miles between Eric Bellion and Fabrice Amadeo. Alan Rura had rudder problems. Rich Wilson, you can see just a little bit further behind, but more to the north. Then moving forward in the fleet. That problem for Conrad Coleman, the biggest storm we've seen so far this Vendee Globe, but he's regrouping, reassessing, and should be going. Louis Burton approaching Cape Horn. He should round tomorrow morning. But good conditions for Louis Burton. Going forward to the duo, Jean Le Cam and Jan Elias. They're only 25 miles apart and 40 miles further up and slightly more to windward. Jean-Pierre Dick has been quite slow relative to his potential speeds. Then Jeremy Biou having the best day of his Vendee Globe. He told us this morning he's in great shape in shorts. And then just look at the back of the fleet there, Didac Costa, Roman Atanasio and Sebastian Destromo, as we said, in Hobart and stopped. So, Cecile, tell us a little bit about Adrena then. It's to say it's used by all the skippers in this Vendee Globe.
Yes, we had this chance that everybody chose our software for their weather routing and navigation. So we're really proud of it.
How does it work? What makes it special?
The specialty of the weather routing is that you input the velocity predictions of the boat and then the weather forecast.
So the grid files.
The grip files, what we call the grip files, and then it's a algorithm which is computing those data and offering the best route, well, the fastest route to the point you want to go.
And you have a long relationship with the Vendee Globe skippers.
Yes, some of them are some of them are our customers since the beginning of Adrena, so it's a big adventure with them. Yes.
And you have a particular relationship with Port La Forêt, the French skippers there. How does that work, and what's the advantage? How does the feedback come to you from them?
It's a kind of partnership we have with them, and we go there for classes and to present the new function and so on. And they give us their feedbacks regarding their use of the software, and sometimes they even offer, propose some new features they would like to have on the software.
So typically, what kind of features would these be that they're looking for?
When we had the AIS coming, they wanted to have competitor monitoring with the IS and following their competitor on the navigation software. It's mainly used on the Figaro and race like that.
So it's becoming more and more real time and more stress for the skippers in terms of what they can monitor.
Yeah, now they know what the computer is doing. So
good. We'll come back to you in 1 second. We do have Nandor Far on Spirit of Hungary. Nandor, how are you today?
Hi, Andy. Good morning and good afternoon. I don't know. Good afternoon already. I'm okay. I had a beautiful sunrise and I'm sailing in light upwind. Nice, clean weather. Seems to be good now.
But Nandor, you've had some pretty tough weather over the last 3 days. Were the conditions worse than you expected?
Yes, it was tough. At the same time, like Conrad went into the cyclone, or the cyclone came there where we were. I was on the east side and Conrad was on the west side, and that was tough for each of us. Maybe I was more lucky because I had only 40 plus knots of wind, and I could sailing in about 80 degrees of true wind angle. It was a good progress, but it was really tough weather, and it was a half a day, more or less a half a day, and it was not so bad as long as I had the wind. The worst was that after the wind died very quickly, the front passed me, and after that I was here with 2 small sails, 3 reefs down and a stay, and I had, without wind, I had 6 meters of waves, and that was terrible for the boat. It was really slamming and tough inside. I hardly could move in the cockpit either, because it was moving so much and it was so violent. So it was until yesterday noon. It was really bad and difficult, and after that, since the time I'm feeling well, and there is okay now.
Was it worse than you expected, Nandor?
Fortunately, there is no problem now, not that type of problem. So I've got some problems since a long time, but these are electrical problems and software problems. Outside, I make a check day by day and sometimes hour by hour, and control everything and try to avoid any major problem. But right now seems to be all right physically. These electrical problems, some of them I cannot solve. So this is that I'm working without. I lost some GPS antennas, and it is tough at the moment. But still, I have one, and it is working. So that's all the problem now. Of course, I spent some hours to solve these problems.
And Nandor, do you still get scared and frightened in these stormy conditions?
Yes, I'm always frightened about to lose something. You know, this is it's a non-stop kind of tension inside. Every day, every time, every gust, you are expecting something wrong, and you are afraid about to lose something. That's all, no more. Normally, I don't be afraid about anything, but here down in the south, anything can happen. And if I'm afraid about something, is that to have a major damage which doesn't allow me to keep going.
And how do you feel? We're nearly 60 days into the race. How do you feel today?
Yes, I feel that. I feel that 60 days, this is 2 months. And for a while, I felt that's all right, no problems. It was just yesterday when we started, and the progress is good. We are moving, and that's all right. But now I feel this 2 months because it was a long time ago when we were on land, and sometimes not physically, mentally, I'm tired a little bit. But I know why I'm here and what to do. So it is just sometimes kind of feeling, and that's it. Normally, I do my job, and no problem.
And what's on the job list just now? What do you have to fix when you get time?
Was on the job list my inverter. This is an electrical charger, which made me 220 volts on the boat, and it failed immediately after the start. And still, I'm working on it, but it doesn't want to work, so it is hopeless. I'm working on the GPS issue, and always there is something. So as I mentioned, day by day, I have a look around. I go out, take my wet weather gear. I go out and I check everything until the first tip of the bowsprit, because anything can happen. As I read, Conrad lost the pin of the forestay. That can happen. So sometimes I could see my pin was halfway out. So it is always checking some things. It is a non-stop job.
But it's been tough for Conrad. He's had some problems.
Yes. We changed letters with him before he went into the cyclone, and I was worried about him because I could see he's on a really wrong place, and still I'm worried about him because there is a hopeless fight he's doing, and this is a huge fight, and I'm really feel with him. I told him in my last letter I would see him rather in front of me than in that situation, but I unfortunately could not avoid. So he's fighting, and this is a really difficult fight. I don't wish to anybody, and really solidar with him.
Good. That's well. Hopefully he will be okay. I think he's made a temporary fix just now. Nandor, as ever, a real privilege to speak with you. Thank you for sharing your race with us, and we'll catch you on Spirit of Hungary getting towards Cape Horn now.
Yes, yes. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, mindenkinek. Pardon?
Thanks, Nandor. Speak to you soon.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. Can I say some Hungarian words?
Probably not just now, Nandor, because we're in the live.
Yes, all right. Good.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Vendee.
you.
See you later.
Thank you, Nandor. Perfect. So that's Nandor Far showing considerable concern for the plight of Conrad Coleman behind him and saying he'd rather Conrad was in front of him than to be in that storm. So meantime, Nandor about 1,200 miles to Cape Horn, so probably 3 or 4 days until he gets out of the Pacific and into the Atlantic. Cecile, tell us a little bit more about Adrena. What's improved since the last Vendee Globe with Adrena?
Since last Vendee Globe, there's a lot of few things, but not major feature. We've been improving the routing algorithm. We've been working on the IS tracking, as I told you, and also the monitoring of the competitor. Now you can route them, you can do many things. Well, it's been a lot of little things all around the software.
And how important is the Vendee Globe for your business?
Well, the Vendee Globe is a very nice window for us because we work in the back office, let's say, and our customers are sailing and racing. And especially for the English market, I think it's a nice window for us to be more well-known abroad.
So it'll be particularly good if Alex Thompson won then?
Yeah. Or maybe second, it's okay.
Well, we'll wait and see. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Let's have a look at the weather situation as of today. I say the leaders getting up into the trade winds and these two big depressions causing 1 or 2 problems in the Pacific. This is the weather. And the weather then for this Tuesday, still just into the trade winds for the leaders and some low pressures causing problems in different areas of the fleet. Starting off at the front of the fleet then with Alex Thompson and Armel Leclerc. Looking up here then, we've just touched the northeasterly trade winds between yesterday night and this morning. Alex Thompson tacked this morning. Quite a light northeasterly trade just now at about 10 to 12 knots. Nothing much in it just now. And then looking back at Maître-Coq in the front of this high pressure, fairly steady, stable conditions, but quite light winds for Jeremy Bayou today. And in the meantime, Jean Le Cam and Jan Elias at the front of this low pressure, just dropping off the edge of it, and Saint-Michel Virbac a little bit slowed just now. Looking behind, then we have Conrad Coleman's been having these problems with this very violent low pressure, which appeared quite suddenly, really wasn't in the models initially, and then just hit him yesterday. He's still slowed and recovering just now, so we're not going to see him move quite as much. Meantime, Nandor Far out of the worst of it at the front of the low and in quite decent wind conditions just now. Then looking at tomorrow, looking up at the front, well, as I said, we can see the two leaders coming up at the trades become more easterly and then southeasterly as they get up, so the condition is improving, but still only maximum of 15 knots in these trade winds for the two leaders. Maître-Coq on the edge of this high pressure, still quite light winds for them. The advance that Jeremy Bayou has been able to make over the last few days, probably stabilising just now. And then this group of 3, Saint-Michel Virbac, Guinea, and Finisterre-Mer, just at the back of the low pressure in 25-30 knots tomorrow. And then the situation for the group at the back, well, still, we're not really expecting Conrad Coleman to come round. That's a projection on his normal polars. We'd expect him to just stay in this area just now until he finalises his repairs and really gives a full evaluation of the boat. Meantime, Spirit of Hungary in quite good conditions, slightly lighter for them. And looking also at Cape Horn, and we've got Louis Burton coming round tomorrow. He's had good southerly breezes as he comes in towards Cape Horn, and these will continue for that passage tomorrow. And looking at the back of the fleet, a low pressure is developing in particular for One Planet, One Ocean. We don't actually see it on the chart, but Didac Costas had problems with his mainsail. He's slowed just now, and this low pressure is developing just round about here, and that's really is for tomorrow. But in the meantime, fairly stable conditions at the back. No way back. Peter Harima in a stable southerly, southwesterly breeze. Techno first to Fast Ocean, that's Sebastian Destrabo, is stopped for the moment, and Roman Atanasio, good 30, 35 knots from the southwest just now. Then this group at the front, well, there's these boats here. They are in this, there's two really in front of the front. So that's Common Salome, Eric Bellon, the fastest in the fleet just now, in 25, 30 knots, stable winds from the north, along with Arnaud Boissier. And then the two boats behind, Nures Mammut and La Fabrique, Alan Rura and Fabrice Amadeo, all in slightly more difficult conditions behind the front. Very gusty, very unstable winds, but around about 35 to 40 knots for them today. And in the meantime, Rich Wilson just staying nice up in the north, quite stable conditions for him just now. So that's the weather for this Tuesday. So these low pressures giving quite sporty conditions for the meantime. Andrew Pinder, I hope, is joining us to say he's a long time Vendee Globe fan and previous sponsor, and really a good eye across the whole sport of sailing, Andrew.
Well, it's kind of you say so, Andy. Certainly, we stay very involved in this fantastic world of sailing, and this edition of the Vendee is probably the most exciting. Remember.
What stood out for you about this race so far compared to the ones you've seen? Obviously, you were very involved in the 08-09 race, but you've watched the race since the early 2000s.
I think that we're getting better and better at getting the media and the mood of the skippers and the drama that goes on with the boats and the competition across the whole fleet. So I think that technology really is allowing us to have an eye on what's really going on across the whole of the fleet, right from the very start of the race. And I can't stop getting the updates and looking to see what's going on. It's just a fantastic drama unfolding in front of our eyes.
So tell us about, I mean, we had Alan Roberts on yesterday, an aspiring Vendee Globe sailor from Britain, who says that the 2020 Vendee Globe is on the peak of his aspirations at the moment. He wants to be on the start line. How does someone like him get to the start line? What are the practical steps?
Well, he probably should be in Port Lafayette right now. I think that for people who want to aspire to be involved in this race and to compete in it with credibility and to compete in it to the point where, like Alex Thompson, they can be vying for a victory, they really have to do the hard yards of mini transat sailing, Figaro sailing, class 40 sailing, every bit of sailing they can possibly do, and to do as much of that sailing as they can on their own. And in and amongst that, they have to find the money to be able to fund that project. So they've got to show commitment and belief, and they need to find the money to be able to fund their dreams.
What differentiates the sailors who do find the money from those who don't?
Well, it's rarely going to come about by sending a document onto the desk of a marketing director. It really needs to be, and I think that looking at the success that people have, it's when they have shown themselves, evidenced themselves to be committed to their task and to be very hardworking and hungry for their dream. And I can think of most of the successful sailors, they have been able to achieve that. And I was just looking at the Sedibo logo across this fleet and seeing what Thomas Colville just did recently in smashing that solo record around the world. I think was it something like an 18-year relationship he has with Sedibo, when he was an unknown shorthanded sailor at the very start of it. He stuck with his sponsor, the sponsor stuck with him, and showing that mutual commitment is absolutely vital. And the same with Alex. I mean, Alex has been with Hugo Boss for many, many years, and also has had the backing and the patronage of Sir Keith Mills. Those relationships are enduring, but they're only enduring because of the commitment and hard work that people put in.
That's right. And Sedibo as a company, meantime, has grown massively at the same time as a sponsorship with Thomas Colville.
Yeah, but I can think of them back in Le Havre for the TJB, when we would have parties on my old boat, the Hatherley, as many people will remember her. Sariba were always there, generously providing pizzas for everybody on board to eat. They weren't just in there looking to get one bit of PR out of a race. They were there as part of the fleet, as part of the commitment to the course au large, to the offshore sailing community. They've really got under the skin and engaged with a whole ethos of environment within offshore sailing.
And how is the economy for sponsorship in the UK at the moment and in Europe? How do you see, is it improving?
No, I think it's really hard, and that's why the sailors who want to get there need to be working harder than ever. So they can't expect companies to be able to write them checks out. The test, the companies, the marketing directors, the CEOs, anybody else who's going to justify the marketing spend on sponsorship of sailing or any other sport, they really need to see that there's going to be a return for their businesses. And that's going to take starting off in a small way with people, getting a bit of engagement and evidencing that the value that can come out of it for the sponsor. It really is, it's a long-term commitment, starting off in a small way and being able to demonstrate the media appeal, the value, the working hard with business customers, making sure that business returns are gained by the sponsors. Without that, it's philanthropy, and this shouldn't be a support. Well, it can be a support about philanthropy, but not in what we're doing here. This is about commercial returns on sponsor investments.
And that commercial return is available or achievable at the different levels of the pathway up to the Vendee Globe.
Yeah, absolutely it is, and we've seen that in a small way with the Artemis project program in the UK that lasted for 10 years has just come to an end. But the Rockfish and other smaller sponsors have been involved in those Figaro campaigns and have been able to get great value out of that. So you can find within sailing. Of course, we're here talking about the Vendee Globe, but if you look at the whole sport of sailing, there is something that can be achieved for any level of sponsorship if you've got the right mindset to go out there and to get the value on the spend, whether it's €5,000 or whether it's €500,000 or €5 million. There is a project that you can get involved in.
And more often than not, it's about networking to start with. Who is interested in sailing in the top level of companies and getting a contact with them? Yeah,
there are many, of course, business people who do sail and going out and volunteering on their boats, going and helping out. That's all part of it. But I was looking back at thinking of the first time our name went round in the Vendee Globe was on Gartmore with Josh Hall. Well, that's the boat that Sebastian Destremo is now holed up in New Zealand on. It was the boat that Emma Richards sailed in the Around Alone race. And that was a boat that when I first met Alex Thompson, he was doing the TJV in, what was that, 97, 98, I can't remember what the year was now. But that was Alex right at the start. The yacht was called Gartmore First Call. It was Josh Hall and then Alex Thompson co-skippering with him on that TJV. This is about long-term build. This isn't about overnight success. This has to be about having a long-term vision and a long-term commitment.
And what do you see as the future of the Imoca class and the Vendee?
I think it's, I wondered where Imoca was going in the last few years, and suddenly it seems to have found its legs again. So it defies gravity at times. Perhaps it's about these foiling boats that's caught the people's imagination, but they are wickedly quick. But it's also been great to see that the modern non-foiling boats can keep up. But also from a sponsor's return, you don't have to have a winning boat here. You can do a lower budget entry and you can learn your way around the world. And you can learn what it's like to make decisions in extremis in the Southern Ocean. Those things come about by saying that you go out and you'll sail a Vendee or two before you have proved you can really go out there to try and get a winning budget to get a winning boat, to become a winning skipper. You've got to do the work ahead of time. So going out and finding a slower, older boat and doing it like Conrad Coleman is doing, my hat is off to him because he's stuck at that and he's managed to get himself to the start line. And what a story. I mean, that guy's earned himself the right to be on many sailing programs in the future because of the story he is telling on behalf of the people who've supported him.
Absolutely, Andrew. As ever, a privilege to talk with you. Do join us again at some time before the end of the race. Hopefully, possibly even see you in Les Sables at the finish. But Andrew Pinder, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
So that is Andrew Pinder, a long time fan of the Vendee Globe, going back to Josh Hall's days in the late 90s. Guillaume, a little update from our French skippers. You had Armel, you had Jeremy Bayou. It's been a really good day.
Yeah, today, great Bayou. First time we have him like this, great voice, everything.
He's in good spirits on Maitre
yeah,
Coq.
he was in shape. So he's very happy to be there because he had a great weather. He's gaining miles on the leader. He's no less than 1,000 miles from Alex Thompson, so he was very happy. He still has the communications problem, but he's downloading 1 or 2 weather forecasts a day. So it's a bit like sailing in the Figaro class. You have to guess what the weather will be. But he's dealing with it and he's doing great.
And he's in his shorts, I think, isn't he? He's in warmer weather and enjoying it.
Yeah, he loves it. It was the first time we had Jeremy like this since the beginning of the race. Everything is great for him. The boat is fine, so amazing.
Who else did we have?
We had the office and the Sebastian Destremo. So
we actually have Sebastian Destremo on spare, so let's listen to Sebastian Destremo and then we'll come back. Perfect. So this was Sebastian Destremo into Tasmania. He had very difficult passage into the Esperance Bay where he's gone, and he said that it really was touch and go. He actually turned round and wasn't going to go, but this was Sebastian Destremo this morning.
It's a lovely place, like really enclosed with 3 little islands in the bay, within the bay. You know, there's 3 little islands that you can go to, and very tiny, you know, but nice, you know, for a picnic or something. And the surrounding is like forest. I came in under 2 riffs, you know, like in the main sail, just to be slow and not too overpowered. And the mooring was the Devon River Squadron mooring thing, you know, that they've put aside for me. And I came in and I knew where the mooring was, but I wanted to do a sail by first, just to check what was there and if there was a rope or if there was something, or, you know, I was ready. I had all my gear ready. I was ready to dive as well, you know, just a very long rope just in case I miss, because the problem is I'm only 100 meters from the shore, you know, and downwind, that's not very far. So I had only one go at it, really. So I just did a sail by first. My plan was to do a sail by, but as I approached, I saw that the mooring was very neat and with a rope there, with a loop there. I just needed to sail close to it. So I just did a big turn, big U-ey, very hard turn, and stopped the boat there, run on the bow, catch the mooring, attach the line, sat on the floor, sat on the deck, and breathe. The stress level to come all this way, it's a very narrow channel. I didn't have any charts, not detailed charts, very like a general chart with no details. There's rocks, fishing farms. Jesus, I didn't like that. The last 24 hours has been a nightmare. A nightmare. I even turned around, like this morning. I turned around. I did a U-ey, you know. I said, I'm not going in. You know, I'm not going in. I don't have the chart. You know, I can't do this. You know, I can't get in. I'm going to smash this boat on rocks, you know. And I turned around, and believe it or not, Andy, I was so tired and so desperate, you know, like so disappointed that I just cried, you know. I was on deck and I cried like a baby. I thought, I can't do this, you know. It's just too hard. I'm going to sail away, and good luck for me with my mast, you know. And if it drops, but I can't come in. You know, and I cried. Like for 15 minutes, I cried. That's how tired and stressed you are. No, I'm very good now. Now that the boat is secured, I'm fine.
So Sebastian Destremo wearing his heart on his sleeve as usual, but saying that he cried for 15 minutes like a baby just because of the stress trying to get into this anchorage. Also saying that it's very difficult for him to get out. He expects to be in for probably 48 hours, possibly longer, because if it's upwind out of the bay, then he just has to wait until the wind becomes more favourable. Guillaume, you had Armel today also, the race leader.
Yeah, we had the race leader, in fact. So, like you said, in the Meteo, he is in the trade winds, 165 miles from Alex. So everything is fine for him. He had a lot of media work. He does it because it's very calm conditions. And now he will, next step is Doldrum. So he wants to be to increase his lead, and he will see.
And also somebody who had problems was that Alan Rura.
Yeah, Alan Rura broke a rudder last night, so he fixed it, but...
He had 50 knots of wind when it happened.
Yeah, that's it. Terrible conditions, and now Alan fixed it, but he will not race anymore with the guys he was. He cannot go as fast as before. We'll see. We are waiting for more updates. And just to finish, a quick word from Fabrice Amedeo. He said you have 2 ways to do the Vendee Globe. You win it or you finish it. Armel is a bit far away, so he will just finish it.
He's not going to win then.
No.
Anyway, thank you, Guillaume. Join us again tomorrow. Tomorrow we have a CNN mainsail programme here with us with double Olympic gold medalist Shirley Robertson as a guest on the plateau, and Wouter Verbrack, the weather specialist advisor to Alex Thompson and to Peter Harima, will be joining us on Skype. So join us then at midday in the world of UTC, 1300 hours in France. Join us for Vendee Globe Live tomorrow.
Voici l'histoire d'un empannage foiré raté, dont on n'est pas très fier. C'est un peu dans le secteur des indisables. Voilà, je vais vous montrer ce que ça donne. Alors, je sais pas si vous avez déjà entendu parler de fagot de latte. Eh ben, je vais vous montrer ce que c'est. Voilà. Le grand voile, un empannage foiré, on va dire. Bon, ben, il y a du boulot. Donc voilà, pour le moment, j'ai dormi pour attaquer la journée. Ça va être une journée laborieuse. Donc voilà ce que c'est qu'un fagot de latte. Bon, bah écoutez, hein. Voilà quoi. On va faire... Voilà ce que c'est que un mauvais empannage, un fagot de latte, une connerie. Voilà, je suis pas très fier, je peux vous dire. Mais bon, ça fait longtemps que ça m'est pas arrivé. Eh ben, qui se t'attend, tout arrive. Bon, voilà. Bon, on va voir comment on va faire. On va se démerder comme d'hab. Allez, salut, yes, week-end. Essayez d'affaler la voile. Donc voilà, c'est un bordel quand même, je peux vous dire. Bon, enfin, voilà l'état du merdier. On progresse. Donc là c'est la 1, 2, 3, la 4e. La 3e ici. La 2 et la 1 à changer. Voilà, on progresse doucement. On s'arrête pas surtout. Voilà. Allez, à terre. Bon, voilà la situation. Donc voilà un chantier de lac. Donc là il y a plein de morceaux de latte. Évidemment il me manque une longueur pour finir, donc il va falloir que je strate. Donc voilà la situation, autrement petite génac, et puis j'ai mis le J3 pour faire un peu plus de surface pour avancer. Donc voilà, allez on continue, à plus, ciao. Voilà. Bon bah là on est en train de faire un truc que vous n'avez jamais vu, ça c'est sûr. C'est-à-dire on fait cuire le manchon de lac avec le réchaud. Parce que la laque ne veut pas aller au réchaud, donc c'est le réchaud qui ira à la laque. Voilà. J'ai mis un scope dessus. J'espère que ça va prendre. J'ai pris de l'ultra rapide. La résine ultra rapide. Donc normalement, mais bon, ultra rapide, ça n'a pas l'air si rapide que ça. C'est comme quoi, il faut toujours... on aurait dû essayer cette résine là avant. Sinon ça va rester tout en vie quand même, faire n'importe quoi pour le boulot que c'est. Le boulot que c'est d'en arriver là, et puis à une demi-heure près, tu fais le boulot. scotch qui crape. On plus de scotch partout. Allez, prends ma chérie. Des ultra rapides, normalement ça part assez vite quand ça a démarré. C'est des résines qui prennent. Voilà. À la limite, je m'en fous, même si elle part en exothermie, c'est pas grave. Je peux pas faire mieux. Résine ultra rapide sur. Là j'ai mis un manchon extérieur, j'ai mis un manchon intérieur, découpé une latte pour faire des morceaux de manchon. Plus donc collé là pour le coup à la rapide. Plus là, restrate extérieur avec. J'ai dû mettre 5 UD tout autour, plus un bibier de fermeture, plus les UD forcément des morceaux de latte à l'intérieur. Là c'est pas là que ça va péter, c'est sûr. Merde, c'est éteint. Toujours pareil. Et là aujourd'hui, alors ce qui est terrible, c'est que on voit dans le coin parce que bon, j'essaie de faire un truc à moitié, voilà. Parce que le problème c'est que j'ai posé la caméra dans le cockpit et puis après, bon, voilà. Là j'ai plus que celle-là à mettre. Et celle-là c'est la 1. Donc une fois que j'ai mis celle-là, les autres sont en place déjà. Et forcément on n'avait pas assez de latte pour finir tout, donc il a fallu que je recoupe dans celle qui était pétée pour remettre. Pour refaire une autre latte. C'est ça, c'est une rallonge si vous voulez. Peut-être que je mets trop fort. Je crois que c'est la fin de la cartouche. Ah putain. Allez, ma mère. Ah. Commence à poisser. Commence à être bon. Ouais, je vais attendre. Je vais quand même attendre. Voilà. Je vais quand même attendre un peu parce que ce serait trop con de gâcher le boulot. Donc voilà. Bon. Merde. Putain, les choses, c'est toujours là. C'est toujours. Voilà, la gueule de mes mains. Bon, bah voilà. Hein. Donc, et ben, le fagot de latte, ça fait longtemps qu'on l'avait pas fait. Hein. Je crois que j'en ai jamais fait d'ailleurs en IMO. Peut-être pour ça, hein, quand t'as pas fait de conneries depuis longtemps, des fois, t'oublies que ça peut arriver. Voilà, je suis pas prêt d'oublier, je peux vous dire. Parce que déjà que je faisais toujours jamais d'empannage, voilà, et puis là, comme un con, en essayant de virement de bord, hein. Et je prends la barre de nuit, machin, et je fous un coup de barre, et la voile, je l'avais pas repris assez au alba. Et flic-flac, elle est partie en aile de papillon, là, en vrille, quoi. Et là, j'ai entendu, oh là là, puis ça, c'est un bruit, si tu veux, que ça reste gravé dans ta mémoire, quoi. C'est le bruit là tu dis bon ok d'accord, je sais ce que c'est. Hein. Voilà, l'addition elle est là, le truc il est fait. Donc maintenant, c'est pas la peine de pleurer, c'est fait. C'est avant qu'il fallait réfléchir, c'est pas après. Donc voilà. Donc là tu te prends une claque. Hein. Là tu dis t'es qu'un con, Jean, t'es qu'un con. Ah yes we can, ouais, t'as raison. Là. T'as raison mon pépère, yes we can. Elle est belle, ouais. Bon, yes we can. Bon, on a de la chance. Parce que là, il fait super beau et voilà. Et bon, ça va pas durer, donc c'est pour ça qu'il faut que ça sèche tout de suite. Bon, allez, salut, et puis pour Yes Weekend, on verra plus tard. Le résultat, fini. Bon, des petits défauts, mais qu'il y avait avant aussi, donc voilà. On voit les nouveaux. Merde. Opérationnels. Bon, bah, la caméra, elle a pris un coup. Bon, à plus.
Armel Leclage, que l'on est ravi d'avoir en visio avec nous dans ce live. Bonjour Armel, merci d'être avec nous. Alors on sait que cette remontée de l'Atlantique n'est pas évidente, que l'Alizé reste faible pour l'instant. Comment est-ce que vous allez moralement? Comment est-ce que vous gérez cette situation psychologiquement?
Bonjour à tous déjà, et puis effectivement l'Alizé n'est pas très établie. Mais voilà, on avance déjà dans le nord, sur le bon bord, c'est déjà pas mal. Après avoir tiré plusieurs bords pour essayer d'avoir le bon angle pour justement attraper cet alizé brésilien. Et voilà, maintenant on progresse, on devrait avoir plus de vent demain et dans les jours suivants pour aller plus vite. Et pour l'instant, on essaie de jouer un petit peu avec les nuages, un petit peu avec les grains et l'alizé qui bouge pas mal en fait dans la journée avec l'oscillation avec le soleil en fait. Ça joue un petit peu sur la direction et la force du vent. Mais tout va bien, voilà, le moral est plutôt bon.
Bon, tout va bien alors Armel, on est content de savoir que vous gardez le moral. Cécile Rodet, que vous connaissez bien, est avec nous aujourd'hui sur ce plateau, elle a un mot pour vous.
Bonjour Armel.
Salut Cécile.
D'abord, je te souhaite une bonne année. Hein. Apparemment, ça commence calmement.
Ouais, merci, toi aussi.
Merci. Bon, je te souhaite de trouver un peu de pression là pour nous arriver vite en France.
Ouais, écoute, on fait tourner les routages Adrena régulièrement dans la journée, donc écoute, tout va bien. Hein, on essaie de trouver la bonne route vers les Sables d'Olonne avec le meilleur logiciel, comme tu connais bien. Et c'est pas simple, mais bon, écoute, tout le monde est un petit peu dans la même galère hein, au niveau de ce passage un peu compliqué entre les phénomènes météo de l'hémisphère sud, on va dire jusqu'à l'Uruguay et puis ensuite l'Argentine, l'Uruguay. Ensuite, on est sous l'influence de l'anticyclone, donc à un moment, il y a un passage de transition. Il y a du prêt à faire, il y a des bords à tirer et tout le monde doit y passer. Plus ou moins, on va dire, plus ou moins bien, mais voilà. Et donc, nous, on va dire qu'on s'en sort, on commence à sortir de ça tout doucement.
Bon, écoute, navigue bien, route bien avec Adrena et puis essaye d'arriver avant le 20 parce qu'après, moi, je pars au bout et je pourrais pas venir t'accueillir.
Écoute, on y travaille,
Salut Armel, c'est Olivia. Moi j'avais une question à te poser. Dis donc, tu as un agenda de ministre, on t'entend sur toutes les radios, on te voit sur BFM, en même temps tu dois être au réglage, à la table à cartes. C'est un boulot à temps plein, ce boulot de marin sur le Vendée Globe.
La matinée était un petit peu chargée, ouais. J'étais justement, il n'y a pas longtemps, j'étais avec RTL, avec les grosses têtes, là, Laurent Ruquier et toute son équipe. Et effectivement, ce matin, on était sur BFM. Oui, écoute, il y a un peu de job. Ça fait partie de la course, la communication, et ça, vous êtes bien placé pour le savoir. Et quand ça fonctionne, écoute, que les conditions sont plutôt bonnes, on va en profiter. On essaie d'en faire un maximum, c'est ce qui est le cas en ce moment. On n'a pas eu toutes ces conditions-là forcément aussi faciles. En tout cas aussi simple que ce qui était dans les mers du Sud notamment. Il y avait des journées très compliquées, voire des semaines très compliquées. Bon, et là, écoute, les conditions sont quand même plutôt confortables, même s'il faut régler les voiles, il faut jouer justement, comme je disais, avec l'alizé et le vent qui joue pas mal entre les nuages, mais on profite de ces moments-là pour pouvoir échanger avec la Terre et notamment avec les médias qui sont effectivement très demandeurs. En cette rentrée d'année 2017.
Armel, certains marins nous disaient hier qu'ils commençaient physiquement à sentir que forcément leurs jambes avaient un peu fondu, ils essayaient de faire des exercices pour rester un peu musclés au niveau justement des jambes. Est-ce que c'est quelque chose dont vous souffrez aussi ou pas du tout? Comment vous vous sentez physiquement après ces 2 mois de mer?
Les jambes, ça va. Non, écoute, ça, c'est sûr que c'est pas musculairement les jambes du départ, mais ça va. On va pas non plus se plaindre. On a quand même fait un peu d'exercice depuis le début. On a quand même manœuvré sur le pont et mine de rien, ne serait-ce que de bouger dans le bateau, ça demande toujours un petit peu de gainage, surtout quand ces conditions sont assez agitées. Mais effectivement, il y a surtout de la fatigue physique, mentale, de plus de 50, je sais plus combien on est là, 50 jours de mer. Donc c'est sûr que ça tire un petit peu sur l'organisme, c'est logique. On est dans le marathon et il reste les 10 derniers kilomètres à faire et c'est pas les plus faciles. Donc il faut tenir et le bateau aussi, il faut surveiller tout ça. Et ça, pour l'instant, ça se passe plutôt bien, mais c'est sûr que les manœuvres sont peut-être plus difficiles physiquement qu'au début parce qu'on est un peu moins frais. Mais l'expérience de plus de 50 jours de mer fait qu'aussi on maîtrise mieux les choses en termes de manœuvre. On est plus à l'aise sur le bateau qu'il y a 50 jours finalement parce que chaque manœuvre se fait de façon plus claire, plus automatique. On a bien ses repères à bord et on maîtrise mieux les choses maintenant avec toute cette expérience cumulée.
Ouais, Armel, une petite question sur ce qui se passe avec Alex Thompson à terre. Forcément, on se pose plein de questions. Est-ce que Alex peut revenir vraiment à toucher Armel le Cléache? Alors, qu'est-ce que t'en penses, toi?
Oh là 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 là, c'est incroyable, quel suspense, quel suspense. Ah bah écoute, si je savais, je te dirais, mais écoute, on verra. J'imagine que oui, chacun doit y aller de sa petite analyse. On fera un peu les comptes après le poteau noir. C'est un petit peu maintenant le prochain obstacle délicat. On va franchir l'équateur dans 3-4 jours. Et ensuite, le poteau noir ne va pas être très loin de l'équateur. Donc c'est ça un peu qui va donner la suite de la course, parce qu'après on va avoir une route qui va se dessiner dans l'Atlantique Nord. Et donc en fonction des écarts, ça va changer pas mal la stratégie. Donc l'objectif c'est pour moi d'essayer de creuser en ce moment, dans les prochaines heures, dans les prochains jours, un petit peu d'avance pour avoir un petit matelas pour justement aborder le poteau noir plus facilement, en tout cas dans la tête. Et puis en espérant le franchir relativement bien. On verra, c'est un petit peu encore loin devant, mais on surveille ça, on commence à surveiller ça de près. Parce que c'est finalement les obstacles à franchir d'ici l'arrivée. Il y a le poteau noir, il y aura peut-être une dépression au large des Canaries, l'anticyclone des Açores. Donc voilà, c'est ces petites choses-là qu'il faut surveiller de près.
Merci beaucoup Armel d'avoir été avec nous. On vous libère, on sait que vous avez beaucoup à faire justement pour vous concentrer sur cette remontée de l'Atlantique. On vous souhaite évidemment le meilleur pour 2017 et on sait ce qui vous ferait le plus plaisir. On vous applaudit.
Salut Armel.
Merci.
À bientôt.
Bonne année à tout le monde et à très bientôt.
Merci Armel, à bientôt.
Bon petit vent et des bonnes petites vagues comme on dit.